We need to talk about vaginas, an important book about vulvas, periods, puberty, and sex. Written by Dr. Allison Rogers and illustrated by Annika Large. All right, I am Jen Elledge. I'm a sexual health expert here to help you talk to your kids about sex and growing up. Here with another book review. This one is a very matter-of-fact, straight to the point book about, you guessed it, vaginas. So shocker, but there's a lot to unpack in this book, and it's beautifully illustrated, and it's got about 60 pages and a little glossary, so it's not too much about any one thing, but I notice it does touch on quite a few different subjects. So my recommendation would be, your child that's maybe in middle school going into like 6th grade or 7th grade. This might be a good book because it's goes into some more comprehensive stuff around the puberty changes and stuff like that. So let me get to it and show you the book. Okay. So it has an interesting beginning. I was surprised by the beginning a little bit. It does have a little story, like a letter to the reader from the author, and she's a gynecologist, and she talks about how her daughter's friends would come to her with a lot of their questions. So she wanted to make sure that they were empowered and that they got a body positive view of their vaginas. So this is what kind of inspired her to write the book. The very beginning, she talks about culture and some of the different things, like, I guess, like some history on myths and things like that around female bodies. So she talks about this man, J. Marion Sims, who was the father of modern gynecology. So she talks about him and some stuff about a little history on that, which was I didn't even know. And she also talks about female genital mutilation. So I just want to let you know that that's pretty early on in the book, page 7. It's just a small part of it, but I think she's just talking about like this is what the tone of it. Okay, so it's female bodies. In different cultures and throughout time, there have been different attitudes about vaginas, female gendered bodies, and sexuality. Why do some people think that talking and learning about female bodies and how they work is inappropriate? Well, what is inappropriate is really a social construct. And then the truth is that you deserve to understand your body, but it's also important to understand why other people feel the way they do. So she's kind of talking about maybe why this is taboo. And then I was surprised by this statistic. I had no idea. More than 200 million people alive today have undergone FGM, female genital mutilation. So, anyhow, I probably would have put that a little later in the book, but, that's there. So anyways, next she gets into some myths and a history of vaginas and some of the different artifacts that have been found, a couple of those. And she talks about a story about a flying vagina, which was kind of humorous. It's an ancient Hawaiian myth. It was like a fertility goddess, and she, it's a little story that she talks about in here and prehistoric figures. So it's kind of like, I feel like she does 2 pages of each topic. So, kind of like an intro on like the history, and then she gets into, well, I guess it's kind of 4 pages for this, the myths and the history. And then she gets into getting to know your vulva. So this is the imagery that's in here, so you can see she uses a lot of different color skin, which is great, and so it's pretty diverse. There's a lot of different images in here of different types of people and bodies and stuff, so it's very diverse and inclusive. Okay, so she talks about the vulva and the different parts, and then what's going on in there. So she, these are some of the images for the inside. All, anatomically correct and stuff, but simple to look at, okay, which is good. Here's a page on everyone's different, and that kind of like, she says, just like snowflakes and fingerprints, each vulva is unique. So you'll see some different types of vulvas here and how they may look different. And she talks about, like, here's a page on puberty, how we change in different ways, kind of like a timeline. And then why do we have vaginas? So it's like a real quick, really brief explanation of reproduction. And then there's a little visual of penis to vagina sex in there. But it's the only mention of that. Just kind of moves on. It talks about birth. And then ways that babies are born really quickly. So it's very just brief, okay? So like there's like a lot in here, but there's just a little bit about a lot of things, okay? She talks about the hymen and the different types of hymens that are out there. And, you know, basically like there's really no reason for it. Maybe it was when we were babies that there was a purpose for it to kind of keep feces out of the vagina, but anyway, she kind of talks about that. But here's a page on everyone's different, and that kind of like she says, just like snowflakes and fingerprints, each vulva is unique. So you'll see some different types of vulvas here and how they may look different. And she talks about, like, here's a page on puberty, how we change in different ways, kind of like a timeline. And then why do we have vaginas? So it's like a real quick, really brief explanation of reproduction. And then there's a little visual of penis to vagina sex in there. But it's the only mention of that. Just kind of moves on. It talks about birth. And then ways that babies are born really quickly. So it's very just brief, okay? So like there's like a lot in here, but there's just a little bit about a lot of things, okay? She talks about the hymen and the different types of hymens that are out there. And, you know, basically like there's really no reason for it. Maybe it was when we were babies that there was a purpose for it to kind of keep feces out of the vagina, but anyway, she kind of talks about that. And then she talks about periods, why we get them. You can see how the follicles develop in here. Your first period, okay, getting a little toolkit that there's going to be discharge and cramps and breast tenderness. There's a little bit on period care. So again, it's really brief. So the period care, you'll see the different products, but it's like straight to the point and simple, you know. But you do need probably a little more information about this stuff as you make a decision of what you want to use. And I don't know. I feel like it's a good overview book, but it wasn't very in depth. Okay, so but that might be great. Like for middle school, that's great. Maybe for high school, I'd want some more information. Okay, so anyhow, no need to feel embarrassed. This is a little touch on who to talk to, which is great. So it gives them some suggestions of like, you know, you could text or do a phone call or ask to go to a store. She talks about cramps and ways to relieve them. I love this page, the color of blood and how the blood color can be different. It can be kind of darker if it's a little older blood and stuff like that. She talks about keeping the vagina clean, okay, and that, you know, wiping the correct way, and that you don't need to clean the inside of the vagina, just the outside. There's a page on hair, on pubic hair, and whether to remove it or not, and, you know, if you get an ingrown hair, and there's like a little thing about waxing in there. Here's a quick page on seeing the gynecologist, okay? So she talks about getting a pap smear and, you know, that you'll have some time alone with the doctor without your parent or caregiver to ask questions and that sort of thing, okay? She talks about discharge, and there's this great. So this is like a pretty good couple of pages on discharge here. The different types, what to watch for, what's not normal, if it has a different color to it, or if it's thick and chunky, stuff like that. If it's itchy, things that help. She talks about keeping the moisture low and not using perfumes and like fragrance soaps, and watching when you take a bath, like if you do need to soak, to do it, and how much baking soda to put in the water and stuff like that. So she talks about odor, what's a normal smell, when is it a problem. There's a quick 2 pages on gender identity in here. So she kind of generally covers transgender and cisgender and non-binary. There's 2 pages really quick on staying safe. So she covers sexting briefly, but again, like, you need more. Like, there's more to this, right? But this is a great overview. Okay. 2 pages on consent. No means no. Just when can consent be given? Like, what to do if you're sexually assaulted. Okay, and then here's a quick little page on birth control. So these are some of the images on there. And a quick little thing on STDs. There's 2 pages on self-touching and masturbation in here. A little myth busting. And then that's like towards the end. And then your body is amazing. That's kind of the, you know, like, hey, there's more stuff than just this. Again, it's about 60 pages and written by a doctor. Very straightforward. Very, I would say it's a overview body book for vaginas. So if you've seen like the Care and Keeping of You is a body book, whole body book, I would say this one is a how to care and keep for your vagina book. So there you go. So if you want to check it out, your local library, or get it on Amazon, go ahead and click the link below. I get a very small commission from Amazon for selling the book or whatever, or promoting the book. But I only promote books that I think are good and I can stand behind and I think are beneficial for families. So this might be one of them for you. Go check it out if it seemed like one that resonated with you. And then, yeah, check me out and make sure you like my YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube page. And I hope to see you in another video soon, or one of my courses. Take care. See you later. Bye.